So the clock is ticking on how long you have to give feedback on proposed boundary changes here in Gloucestershire. The Boundary Commission is basically trying to reduce the number of MPs right across the UK from 650 down to 600. Gloucestershire, however, will still have 6 MPs, but those boundaries will change. It means some of us will be voting for a different MP at the next general election. Your political reporter Hayley Mortimer can unravel this one for you.
Do hereby declare that Richard Graham is duly elected. Thank you.
I do hereby declare that David Drew is duly elected to serve for the Stroud constituency.
This is how you win power in Britain, constituency by constituency. But now the political map is being redrawn to make sure all those constituencies have about the same amount of voters. The Boundary Commission is being told to cut the number of MPs from 650 to 600. Under the plans, Gloucestershire would still have 6 members of Parliament, but the way the county is carved up would change. The latest map shows that Winchcombe would now be covered by the Cotswolds instead of Tewkesbury, and Coombe Hill would move from Tewkesbury to the Forest of Dean. The biggest change, though, will be seen in Stroud, and the district's Labour MP David Drew has branded it political gerrymandering. That's because Minchinhampton, historically a Conservative stronghold, would move back into Stroud from the Cotswolds. And Mr Drew would lose the Labour heartlands of Cam and Dursley to a new South Gloucestershire seat.
I've got no problem with representing, a greater number of constituents, because I think that it's right that we have geographical relationships rather than this idea that there's a formula which comes up with a magic number and therefore it means that you have to start carving up different parts of the country.
Here's what people in Dursley think about the proposal.
I think people will be very disappointed because they're orientated to the Stroud, Nailsworth area. I can't see it going down at all well, really.
I can't really see the point of the boundary changes. I just think it's a waste of public money. The organisation behind it and the technicalities and the legalities of changing it all.
I think it would be a big mistake for Dursley especially. I think it's good to be representative by local people.
Well, David Drew, Stroud's MP, joined us on the programme this morning. Good morning, David.
Morning, Steve.
This is an interesting one. Historically, really, this is, part of Gloucestershire leaving Gloucestershire for the first time, isn't it?
Well, it is, because previously we've always had county boundaries as being sacrosanct. But we've now got the Boundary Commission coming in. It's come up with, this is the second lot of proposals. Originally you got to remember that Quedgeley was coming into Stroud and Nailsworth was going to the Cotswolds. They are just carving it up based on some mathematical formula, and one has the hope that this all goes down into a big black hole because, of course, the Democratic Unionists are against this boundary review, and them being the real government now, they will decide whether or not this goes forward. But what I'm against is the idea that numbers matter more than location. I don't mind Minchinhampton coming back into Stroud. Politically, it's not advantageous for us on the Labour side, but I opposed it being moved out because it was just done on a pure numbers game. Clearly, you've got to have some balance between the different sizes of constituencies, but the way it's being done at the moment, you're just destroying historic geographical entities and just putting people from Cam and Dursley into an area where decades ago, we decided they weren't linked with Yate and Thornbury. Now, the old Gloucestershire, and I was born in South Gloucestershire, so I know it very well, we were a much bigger county. But those days are gone, and we're now being forced to see some of our dearest neighbours being forced into a different constituency. And Stroud District, 100,000 population, just over, will be represented by 3 different MPs. That just breaks the representational arrangement and cannot be anything that's good for democracy.
People will say that you've got sour grapes. You've got a very slight majority in Stroud, and politically, this is suicide for the Labour Party in Stroud.
Well, it's not suicide for the Labour Party. It's suicide for our area. What this government have come up, they've magically decided for purely political reasons that we'd drop the number of MPs by 50. Now, that was done by David Cameron, who we thought was a smart move. I'm talking to Conservative MPs who now think this is daft because it's actually affecting their constituencies. But worse than that, what will happen is that we see this ongoing destruction of relationship between the Member of Parliament, a local authority area, and the geographic area that they supposedly represent. We've done a lot of work to get Camandursey feeling part of Stroud District. Effectively, it will no longer be part of Stroud District because, of course, it may have local authority relationships, but its MP will be totally different.
But this is going, all right, not across the actual Gloucestershire boundary, but this is going on elsewhere, with Longlevens and Prestbury, for instance, being part of Tewkesbury when they're served by Gloucester and Cheltenham Borough councils. This is happening all over. This isn't anything new, is it?
No, it's not, and there's always some revisions, but they've been minor revisions in the past. This is a major change. We are losing part of our historic identity, because it would be very difficult to keep the district together, where, as I say, you've got different MPs representing different parts of it. But more particularly, it's not good for democracy, because people think, well, why am I voting for an MP for an area that I don't actually see any real joined-upness, if you can use that word, whatsoever? It's just a name. It's just a person who happens to be shoehorned into this new area. And I think that is terribly bad for democracy. Those of us who were really joyed up by the way in which people came out in their numbers in the last general election would find it very difficult to say to those people, well, actually, you voted in Camandursley, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to shunt you down into Yate and Thornbury. People
Finally,
will
David,
feel very annoyed about that.
This is, as you said, the second time that we've been asked to consult on this. Do you think this will be the last time, or is there a big enough wave? Do you think for us to go through it again?
We've got a bill which we voted on last Friday, which says go back to 650, which is sensible. There's no reason to cut the number of MPs. It's not saving money because we're wasting it on this stupid process. But I hope that we will look again at this idea that numbers matter more than the historic locations that people represent. And I think that is the key to this. I don't mind representing a larger constituency in terms of the numbers. What I do resent is the fact that part of the constituency is just being artificially shunted off into another area, and people just lose any faith in the democratic process accordingly.
David, thank you very much for joining us this morning. David Drew, Stroud's MP, with his take on things.